Good morning. I've been asked to talk to you about what bivocational, the difference that being bivocational has made to my family. I cannot help but be very emotional about this part because we've been now in Johannesburg for 10 years. And the past 5 years, now in November, it's actually going to be 10 years. That's how much time has flown. The first 5 years, or the last 5 years, I've had the benefits of being bivocational, which was in itself a very huge struggle because I had started on the other end of the spectrum. I think from 1999, I came into full-time ministry, sent out to Welcome and all of that. So you have it inculcated in your mind that you're just solely a minister set apart for the gospel and nothing else. And I can tell you that when my wife was the first person to get a job and she was bringing the bacon home, it brought about provision but also very intense fellowship moments. Amen. Because all of a sudden I was being asked about, what does a pastor actually do, The rest of the time when we were both in pastoral ministry for the first 2 years, it was okay. We did everything together. But now that she was at the office and she had a proper job that she was doing, I had to now tick the boxes for every little thing how every hour was spent. In a sense, and there'll be an expectation. She'll come at home, it'll be like the inspector has arrived. Good morning, how are you, everything, and it will go on that way. And without you saying much, but it's like your value as a man begins to diminish. But at the same time, we would have this argument. She'll say, why don't you go and get a job? I said, if I was about getting a job, I should have gotten a job that time. But I'm set aside and consecrated to be able to work for the kingdom. So it was something really, really tough for us to be able to get through. It was very, very difficult. But nonetheless, also I think, just going back to that, is that the instability that we had financially, we had the blessing of having support from Breakthrough, my dad, Apostle Russell, for the first 2 years. But the next 3 years were hell. Literally nothing short of being hell. It was extremely, extremely difficult. And we saw the ministry begin to dwindle in a sense. Sometimes as a pastor, there's a tendency to overshare with your leaders when you're in struggles at times. And so I think the light switched on and people started thinking, so when we give now, we actually are giving to kind of support them. And that's why we can't get the building. We're stuck in the garage and all these other kind of things. So one has to be extremely innovative in terms of how you go about that. And I was actually forced to overcome that mental limitation of saying I was called. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much I prayed, I still had to put food on the table. And to make matters worse, after a year of my wife's job, the contract was canceled. They outsourced the department that she was working in to an outside company, obviously. And then she ended up also now we were both looking at each other. And something had to give, you understand. But God really was faithful. But I must tell you this, even just in terms of the family, raising up these little ones. In a space of 7 years of having been in Johannesburg, we lived in 7 different homes. Which meant that you got into a place, you were able to pay rent, get going, but as soon as difficulty came in, it was much easier to say, hold on to the deposit, I'll find something else. Because literally, they are sending you letters of demand if we do not get our money at this time. So it created a great instability within the children, in a sense. Let's fast forward to the good part. When we both had jobs, and the Lord was so merciful, that in the same year, my wife was the first one to get a job around about February. I gave the Lord an ultimatum and said, Lord, you've got to be able to come through within a space of 6 months. And as the 6 months were coming to an end, I was afforded an opportunity to be somebody who thought they couldn't work. Yeah? I was afforded an opportunity to be a CEO of a Christian NGO just from nowhere. The Lord made a way. Within a year of being on that job, for the first time, we were able to buy our own home. And we've been in that home for the past 3 years. And I can tell you it has made a mega difference within the children and also stability of the field that you are called to serve. Just in this very last minute. So as a family, we still have struggles, but it makes a difference, a huge difference. If I look at our church today, the people that we have right now in our church are all people that we've been able to touch and reach out to as a result of that very same bi-vocational job. In other words, the job became the actual mission field rather than waiting on people that you're reaching out. So as we're going about and we're reaching out to people, people have a place to be able to connect. And at the same time, there is no pressure to be able to say, you got to give, you got to do that, as the other pastors have shared, because we ourselves are also partnering financially, and it enables the ministry to be able to go much quicker. God bless. Thanks.